My name is Alan Urban, and this is Iamfather, and we're here to talk about fatherhood. Tell you, what's your name? Introduce yourself. What's your last name?
I'm Montavious Coggins, and I'm a father.
Right. Now I'm gonna tell you, man. Like I was telling you before, I got some questions written down, but I don't even think I'm gonna ask any of these questions because I've heard so much about you and the things that you're doing, and I feel like anything you say gonna be just power.
Butter. It's a lot of expectation.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think I'm doing all right though.
I think you're doing great, man. I mean, what does fatherhood mean to you?
That's a great question. I really should have thought about that question because I knew you was gonna ask me. But I think it might be better because I didn't think about it, so I'll give you a genuine answer.
Okay.
I think fatherhood to me is picking up the slack that my father left.
Okay.
Maybe just setting an example of what a man should be for the child.
Mm-hmm.
Even maybe if it's a boy or a girl, what to expect from a man. Not necessarily just the father, but what your point of view of a man should be in this world. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Of course, it's taking care of home and all of that stuff. I think that's a given, but I think you can be a great provider and not a great father.
Which is true.
I think you can have a lot of money and take care of the house and take care of bills, but not necessarily be the example of a man that you should be setting.
Right.
So I think that's the first thing, and then I think if you're doing that correctly, then everything else kind of trickles down. If you're being a man, and whatever your definition of a man is, but I think mine is just taking care of the people that I love, and everything that I think falls up under that fatherhood thing. But maybe it's just being a man first.
So, how many kids do you have?
I have one biological daughter,
okay,
Parker, and I have two adopted daughters, which are my nieces.
Parker, who I love.
Parker, Aaliyah.
Parker, who I love. Boy, she's a jewel.
Trooper.
And you say you have
two adopted daughters, which are my nieces, my biological nieces.
Wow. So you have two adopted daughters.
Yeah, and they teenagers too, like 17 and 16. When
Wow.
I got them when they was 14 and 13.
Uh-huh.
One just turned 14 and the other one was 13. Am I saying that right? Yeah, 14 and 13, yeah.
Okay. So mostly, now that's different. I didn't know that. So a lot of times when people adopt kids, they don't know what they're getting. You know what I mean? Is that your case?
Nah, I knew exactly what I was getting.
So how did you know what you were getting?
Because I was already the father man in their life. They called me Uncle Daddy when they was little kids.
Really?
Yeah, they called me. It wasn't because they started calling me Daddy.
Uh-huh.
Because I was all around so much. And I was the father figure. Because I'm 14 years. Well, I'm 10 years older than the oldest. Because I'm 27. She's 17. And then
Not the oldest. Who?
My oldest daughter, my oldest niece.
Okay.
She's 17 and I'm 27. So I'm
okay.
10 years older than her. So when I was 13, she was 3. So if I'm the guy that she sees every day, I'm pretty much taking care of me.
Right.
That's the word that you say to the man that you see every day. So
right.
And I'm like, no, I'm not your daddy. I'm your uncle. And so
she stayed in the same house.
Yeah.
Okay. So how did that happen? I mean,
my sister got pregnant with my oldest niece when she was 16.
Okay.
So
these are your sister's kids?
These are my sister's kids.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay, I get it.
And so, I was the little brother that always watched them and just always took care of them. So they started calling me daddy. My sister was like, that's not your daddy. And I was like,
Right.
They was like, call him Uncle Daddy. So they called me Uncle Daddy for so long. And I was always their kind of like escape from that environment.
Wow.
Once, she moved out and, everybody started living their lives. Not best. The reason why I got them because it's not the best environment for them.
Mm-hmm.
But whenever I came in town, or because I went to college out of Atlanta, So when I came to town, I was always there to skate. So I knew what was going on. Got to the final straw, and I was like, not happening no more. I'm taking my nieces. So I ended up taking them. Went through the guardianship stuff. Got them legally. They've been with me for.
Wow.
Yeah, man. So imagine having a 1-year-old, or 1-year-old, because Parker's about to be 4, and then having a 14-year-old. That dynamic is crazy.
So you moved from an uncle to a daddy to an uncle daddy.
Yeah.
Wow.
And now literally that's where I am again, because I'm still their uncle, but then I'm the daddy of my.
Right. So they live in the house with you.
Yeah. They've been living with me for 4 years.
Wow, man, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's
Man,
a blessing to just even be able to do it. You know.
Really?
Yeah, for sure. Because it was something that I definitely wanted to do. Me and my mom talked about it.
Mm-hmm.
And so unfortunately she wasn't able to see it because she passed. But it was kind of something that I knew was gonna happen eventually. You know, you wish and you're kind of hopeful, but it's like, man, I'm like 17 years old. It's probably not the best possible thing right now. But when it was able to happen, and of course, it obviously wasn't the best thing for them as far as their environment, but the outcome was the best thing, right? Because, you know, when somebody takes you from your parent, that means that you're not in the best situation. So
why was that? Why were you? Seemed like you was looking forward to that happening. Why is that? I mean, is it because these are just kids, your sister's kids, and you just love them so much, or?
Yeah,
I mean,
sure.
Because that has to be a responsibility. I mean, that's a serious responsibility.
Yeah.
And they girls.
I don't think that, for me personally, I didn't really have a childhood.
Okay.
Just as far as, like, I'm telling you, I'm 13 and I'm taking care of a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old. And then right after that, my sister had my youngest niece who passed, D'Angela. And so when D'Angela passed, it kind of like sparked that in me of, hey, like, you know, because I'm kind of in the streets and just doing a whole bunch of bullshit. So it's kind of like, hey, you know what I'm saying? It's kind of a bigger picture. And that's when it popped in my head, like, hey, one day, you know, maybe you can take these kids and do something.
How old were you then?
When my niece passed, I was 13.
Wow.
My youngest niece passed, I was 13. So that kind of messed me up a lot. And what really messed me up was, we was all, you know, my sister is 7 years older than me. But
now, did your sister live in the house with you?
my youngest sister lives in the house with me.
So how many sisters and brothers?
I have 5 brothers and 4 sisters. Whew. Really, it's 5 brothers and 5 sisters.
Wow.
My oldest sister got adopted because my parents was too young.
So did all y'all stay in the same house?
My mom and my dad had 4 children together, and so we all stayed in the house together for a little while.
Yeah.
But I guess I'll tell it, because I mean it's not a family secret or nothing. But my grandmother took me. Well, actually, my auntie took me the same way that I took my nieces from my sister. Yeah. My aunt took me, and she initially took my oldest sister and my oldest sister and one of my older brothers from my mother, and so kind of in the same fashion that I not take, but you know, it's kind of like you can't really provide for them, so let me try, you know.
Yeah. A lot of that was going on back in the day, man.
Yeah,
they don't make
crack.
Grandmothers the way they used to make grandmothers, man. It was
crack,
about,
man. It was great. Yeah, I mean, just to boil it down. I mean, you know, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? It's fucked up, but you know. So my aunt took us, and then my grandmother got us, and so then we eventually. I was born, and then eventually we came back.
To your parents?
To my parents, yeah.
Okay.
So, and then they had my little sister Miracle, which is a miracle baby, because my mom was supposed to have no more children. So,
how old was she when she had Miracle?
She was 38, 39. So she wasn't supposed to have no more children. And so we went back to live with my parents, and I don't remember what the question was, but So all four of us ended up being together.
Yeah.
With my parents.
But that was just the four of you at that point.
There was four of us,
and
then so as the years trickled on, I realized that hey, I got more brothers and sisters than my daddy.
Hey,
you know, so everybody, it was two.
Yeah.
It was like 2 and 2 and 2, and then there was this one that eventually kind of we figured out about. So it was 5. It's really 5 and 5. They adopted one of my oldest brother, and you know, kind of it's like a teenager, you know. So I call him my big brother, and then I have an older sister that I never met.
So currently, right now, your young sister live with you.
Right.
Your little sister live with you. You have two daughters / nieces that live with you. And you got
my biological
Parker living with you, and
I got a girlfriend. So that's
and you got a girlfriend.
That's 5 women.
And that has to be a magnificent, awesome girlfriend to be able to stay in the house.
For sure.
Be able to stay in the house with that's. So are you the only male in the house?
Yeah.
You daddy.
Yeah.
You daddy. You father, and that's awesome, man. How long has that situation been there? How many years?
Well, my sister moved in with me after my mom passed, and that was right before I got my nieces. So
how long that's been?
4 years. My mom passed in 2017. Yeah, so 4 years.
About 4 years ago. Yeah. Okay. So earlier you were saying you basically want to pick up where your father left off. Right. What do you mean by that?
So my dad struggled with alcohol.
Okay.
And as much as I know that he wanted to do a lot of stuff, alcoholism is an addiction. Mm-hmm. And I know maybe a lot of people don't treat it like that, but that's what it is.
It's an addiction, you know, and you could be a functioning alcoholic.
Yeah, for sure, and that's exactly what it was. Mm-hmm. But functioning in the way of he went to work. Right.
So he was a provider.
Exactly.
Okay.
And that's how I know you can be a provider without necessarily being a father, right? Because I really didn't get a bond with my mother until I was about 14, 15 years old, right? And I'm talking about the mother-son bond, you know, that everybody wants for their mama.
Right, because you was with your aunt, then your grandmother, and then you came back. Yeah.
So I called my grandma mama.
Right.
And that took a while for me to even, you know, as a child, just like calling this woman your mama, and then you're like, hey, no, I'm not your mama. This your mama. Mm-hmm. So that was weird. So that took a little while for me to, you know.
You know, that happens a lot, man. A lot of times when something is going on with the mom or something is going on with the dad, the grandparents really raise the children.
Especially in the black community.
Yeah, especially in the black community, man. But what's important is somehow, some way, that family come back together. Because systemically, from way back in the day, the idea, the Willie Lynch theory,
for sure, that's still in effect now.
What's still in effect now was to take that brother out the house and have the mom and the kids against the brother. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's the modern day welfare system.
Yeah, for sure. Sometimes they would rape the man. I don't know if this is too deep or too.
No, you're fine, man. You're fine because that's it's true.
Sometimes the owner, the slave master would rape the men in front of the women and kids just to show
degrade them.
It's called it's, you know how they break in horses.
Yeah,
that's what they.
Yeah,
it's essentially what they was doing.
Beat them in front of them.
Yeah,
yeah.
It's still in effect now, and you know, like you said, systemically, I'm trying to break the curse of that in my family. Like I don't want my kids, aunties, and uncles to have to take, you know.
So would that be a driving force as far as the responsibility you have taken upon yourself to take your sister's kids? You got your little sister with you. You got your girlfriend in the house. You got your daughter. Man, that's that's a serious responsibility.
Yeah, it's a lot. It gets. It was really hard at first. To tell you that.
How was it hard though?
I think it was hard on both ends. First aspect was, I have a new girlfriend and a new baby, and I also have a new ex-girlfriend, which is now my baby mama. So that dynamic is, I mean, I guess you can only imagine how crazy that is. But now I also have to deal with transforming my relationship with my nieces from, you know, the uncle that's all fun and giggles to authoritative. You gonna do homework and you gonna go to bed at this time, and when normally is, hey, we go to Uncle's house or we get a hotel room or we go to Six Flags. It's all fun and games. And now I have to struggle with the dynamic of, hey, no, you got to listen to what I'm saying, and you got to do what I'm saying when I say do it. And
Well, uncles could be authoritative as well.
yeah, but I think for them it was more so of like, hey, hold on, man, this is supposed to be fun, you know, like
With the uncle.
yeah,
The fun
you know,
uncle.
this is supposed to be fun. Like we just
Right.
supposed to be having fun. And
Right.
I'm like, yeah, we gonna have fun, but you need to. School is important.
Yeah.
It's like I go to work every day. You going to work too. You just going to school. That's your job. And that took about 6 months to a year. Just
Laying that out.
Just me learning, them learning, us learning each other in this new relationship. And just to be honest with you, it almost didn't work out.
Hey, well, that's part of fatherhood.
It
man.
almost didn't work out, man. But then when you realize the gravity of it, it's like you're kind of the last stop. You know, because if their fathers could have did it, then at that time they should have stepped in and did it. You know, and when you realize that nobody else is coming, nobody else is coming.
Right. Well, I mean, there's this saying, God ain't gonna put no more on you than you can bear.
Yeah.
Right? So you are created for this at this point. I mean, you are created for this because, and it is your position, it's your time, it's your way. And so what you did, when it didn't work out, you figured out a way for it to work.
Yeah.
You figured out how to communicate with the ex. You figured out how to communicate with the girlfriend. You figured out how to communicate with your nieces.
And their fathers. Because even though they couldn't step up, now, because I'm a new father, and regardless of the situation, I know that if I had a chance, somebody was like, hey, I got your baby. You want to be a part of her life? I know I would say yes. You know what I'm saying? Regardless of the relationship that they had with my sister or whatever,
Right.
which is the mother of my nieces. I don't know what that, I know what it is, but I wasn't there. You know, I wasn't there every time or I don't know whose fault it was. Don't really care. Do you want to be in your child's life? So now I have to deal with these men as well.
Right.
You know, and so now it's like, hey, I remember you was a little kid.
That's still the baby daddy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I remember you little Tay, like,
Yeah.
you can't really tell me not to discipline my child, but no, man, don't touch her.
Wow.
You know, like, I might do something to you, because now it's on me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They looking at me like, Uncle, you just gonna let him? No, I don't give a fuck. You know what I'm saying? Fuck
Right.
you wasn't there for this long. And so now I got to deal with that as well. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, look, I tell you this, man. That's gonna happen whether you the stepdad. You know, you dealing with. I give you a little story with me. When I got married, my ex had a 6-year-old. I think Quincy was 6 when we got married, and I didn't too much talk to his dad a lot. And something came up. Something came up, and I said, you know what? I need to give him a call. I need to talk to him. Before it was just Quincy's mom, who was my wife at the time, and him conversing. And I had a business and I was running that, and I said, it's time. It's time to talk to him.
Until it was needed.
So this what happened. So he was like, well, I'm glad you called me, because if you put a hand on my son or anything like that, I'm gonna fuck you up.
And it's like,
I said, okay. So if I'm gonna tell you this, because his name was Quincy. I said, I'm gonna tell you this, Q. If and the son was Quincy too. So I said, if Quincy is disobedient in school, you know, if he's disobedient in my house, if he's not mannerable or anything like that, I'm gonna whoop his ass. And he hit the roof. And for the next, I'll say 10 years, it wasn't good.
But in retrospect, right,
Yeah.
for me, and because you talking to, it's like we on opposite sides. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because I'm talking to the daddy, you talk. Well, I think it's the same thing. Because you talking to the daddy and I'm talking to the daddy too.
Yeah.
But he's saying I'm gonna fuck you up, and I'm telling the daddy I'm gonna fuck him up.
Oh, right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
The daddy telling you like, hey, don't touch my child, and I'm telling the daddy, don't touch your child.
Yeah.
Because it really, because me, man, I don't.
So you telling the daddy not to whoop
Yeah,
him?
don't whoop her.
Well, why is that?
Because you okay. First of all, for you to discipline a child, there has to be some type of
Relationship.
respect. But greater than that, it has to be a love, right? Because I have to love you enough to trust you that you're not gonna hurt me, right? And especially in a little girl's head, it's like, hey, yeah, you supposed to be my dad, but I don't know you, and then you're touching me, and you're hurting me.
Right. So the dad really wasn't around. He just came around to discipline her.
Yeah. But it was me reaching the hand out to say, hey, be in your daughter's life. You know what I'm saying? It's available. I'm not her mother. I'm not gonna say you can't talk to your child. You can't have her number. You can't come see her. She can't come see you. Me and you will have to connect first. But once we get an understanding, of, you know what I'm saying? It's open season. Like, you can be with your daughter because she knows that I'm not her dad. They're 14, 13 years old when I get them. They know that I'm their uncle. And they're telling me, hey, I want to know who my dad is. Because I haven't seen him for 5-6 years.
Right.
Or he's just dropping off money to my mama and it's like nothing. There's no relationship. But then when they interact, it's like, hey, she on Instagram. Why she shouldn't have Instagram? I don't. Do she got straight A's? Is she disrespecting anybody? You care what she doing on Instagram. I don't even look at their Instagram. I follow them on Instagram. I know. Well, I've raised them enough to trust them, so I don't have to check now. But you know, but you looking at her Instagram instead of looking at her report card, which is really what matters.
That's why it was important for you and him to.
Yeah, because now I'm like, hey, she talking about you finna hit her, motherfucker. No, that ain't happening because I don't even hit them. You know what I'm saying? And they come from an abusive household, so that's just going back to. I done went 2 years of therapy. Yeah, we done did all of this, and I broke down crying multiple times. And now you about to raise your hand at her, and that's gonna undo all of this work that I done did. Right. Nah, bro. Nah, you got it messed up.
I think we all need therapy.
but it could have got bad. You know what I'm saying? But it's just like I understand that as a father, I don't want nobody to tell me what to do with my children, right? But if you haven't been a father, they don't look at you like a father. So when they tell you, no, you can't get my phone, until you get that relationship with them, no, you can't get that. Because you didn't pay for the phone. You don't pay the bills on the phone. You ain't paid for nothing in a long time, man. Don't touch it.
Right.
And so once we got past that, now we all, you know what I'm saying? It's cool now.
Yep.
But it's a lot to get.
Hey, it was a serious dynamic, man, and the fact that you came to the other side of it.
Yeah, it was
because
hard.
Even with my son's dad, he was like, he eventually came and was like, I'm glad you were the man that raised my son. You know, but it had to go through some stuff, man, because
a lot.
And it's, I mean, we all have dynamic childhood, you know, and you just, I mean, therapy is important. Yeah. Therapy is very important. I need to go and you don't know why a person is acting out the way they're acting out. You know, that's why it's good for you and him to mesh, which was
well, and they both of them got two different daddies too, so I had to deal with two different daddies.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
So was the other daddy just as?
No, one of them was because I know one of them like personal. You know, so it was kind of like I said, hey, look, you little Tay, You sure you can do this? Like, I don't got a choice because you didn't show up. And I didn't say it like that, but you know, that's what I'm thinking in my head. Like, bro, like, I gotta do it, man. You know what I'm saying? But and then so me and him was able to, you know, I was just like, hey, you know, because I know him personally because he's from my same neighborhood. So I'm like, hey, you know, she want to meet you, man. Like, you know, so I just dropped her off because I know him. I trust him. You know what I'm saying? I know his people.
Right.
He's a good person, and I know what him and my sister relationship was, and because I wasn't there every day, but I know what was going on. You know what I'm saying? They, you know, it's just crazy.
So you've actually, I mean, I've heard a lot of challenges that you've gone through that I see as a challenge. You being a father and the things that you've gone through. But tell me, what do you think your hardest challenges were being a father, and what you've gone through as a father?
I think I say the most consistent battle is kind of like on the job training, you know, like it's all learning. Even if you do something again, you know, like with the 17-year-old, she plays sports, and now the other one is trying to start her own business. I think that it's new, you know. The 17-year-old wanted to play flag football, and that was a challenge, right? And it's like on the job training, you know. I'm learning with her. Like I ran track, but it was a long time ago. So, and now I'm the father of the person that's running track. So just kind of motivating her to be consistent and doing that type of thing. And then she wanted to play flag football, and so, well, did I say that backwards? So she wanted to play flag football first, and that was, I never played flag football. I played football, but so now I'm learning this whole new kind of way to play football, and now I'm having to relearn how to run track with her, because she's looking at me like, hey, you know, you run fast, so I want to learn from you. And I'm like, hey, I ran fast a long time ago. I still run fast now. So I think that just learning, like the learning curve is really high. And you don't want to seem like you don't know it. Even if you let them know, like, hey, I don't know, you still want to guide them in the right direction, even though you're learning with them. And that's the hard thing, to figure out which way to take them. Because they're looking at you for guidance, and you're kind of trying to figure out which way to go too. Yeah,
so this is a 17-year-old.
Yeah.
And this is not the oldest one, or is it the oldest?
That's the oldest one.
Okay, how old is the other one?
She's 16 now.
She's 16. Is she playing any sports?
She's trying to start her own fashion company.
Okay, so she's completely different.
Yeah, she's completely.
Those are the dynamics of a father. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? For me, it was pretty easy in that respect because my boys, they ran track and played football. So the younger one, which is the last one coming up out of here, he's learned from, you know, when I take my oldest one to practice and the games. So it's very easy now. But for you done went from sports to something else. So
completely different.
Which is all fatherhood, man.
Yeah, it is.
It's just all fatherhood, and which means I mean, fathers need medals.
Yeah, I mean, we would get a lot of medals.
You part of the hood, man. You part of the hood.
Yeah, for sure. Not as much as the mother, but man, woo, fathers. Fatherhood is definitely a different type of hood. It's the hardest hood that you ever gonna rep in your life.
Yeah. So you actually should have a perspective on how valuable your seed is.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, talk about that a little bit. How valuable
raising someone else's children really gives you a greater perspective on how valuable being a father to your children are. Right? Because when you raise somebody else's child, it's kind of like it's definitely like the same responsibility, but it's a different way, you know. But then when it's your child, it's really all on you. You know, and there's nobody else that they're gonna turn to. You know, when you raise somebody else's seed or child, they can always like look for another father figure. But when you're the father, you are the figure.
Right.
That's it. You know,
Absolutely.
you don't even want them to turn anywhere. All they looking at you, like I said about guiding. You're learning at the same time with them, but they're still looking at you for guidance.
So how old is Parker now?
She's 3. She'll be 4 on Friday on the 18th.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. So when did you decide it's time to be a father? When Parker was born, or?
No, I think I was already doing with my nieces or with my little sister. I think I was already that father figure. In retrospect, I think I was just doing what I thought was necessary. But in retrospect, I think I was the father figure already. Right? So it was kind of easy to say, oh, I got a child now. Like, this is what I need to do. I did it. I seen what not to do. I think I know what I should do. Mm-hmm. But then, you know, when they come, it's like all that stuff is out the window. It don't matter what you thought. Now you just got to do what you got to do.
Absolutely.
So to answer your question, when did I know that this is you a father? When I held her the first time, and I know that sounds like corny and cliche, but it means that it's real, it's tangible. You know, you looking in that baby's eyes and they looking at you, and you know that like it's all on you.
Right.
You know, regardless, it just, as a man, you feel like no matter what, it's on you. Mm-hmm. And it's up to you to pick that torch up and run with it. Right. Or you just gonna pass it to the next man, and that's it. You know, you can't really be mad at what they do with your child. But as for me, and I think you have to be a man to be a father. And so I'm happy that I was coming into manhood. So that helped me get into fatherhood. It's like graduating high school. Like, you can't not be a man and think you're a father. You know what I'm saying?
I believe we were all called into fatherhood from the very, very beginning. From the very, very
some of us don't get that call.
Some of us does not get it.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? But whether you pick it up in the beginning or the end and you have a kid, you're in fatherhood, whether you acknowledge it or not. So you have to decide on, are you going to become a father at conception, or are you going to become a father toward the end?
18 years later.
20 years later, because it's never going to stop. You know what I'm saying? And they got that attitude, I don't need you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's going to be harder. So, I mean, what advice would you give anyone that's just becoming a father, or they know they have conceived at some point, whether I mean the baby mama is still pregnant with the baby or is already out? What advice would you give that father?
Well, first I would say listen to this podcast. And secondly, I would say I'm gonna think about it, because I want to say not necessarily the right thing. I want to say what I would want to hear.
Because everybody's journey is different, man. I tell you, your journey is going to be different from mine. Your journey is going to be different from his. I mean, everybody's journey is different. But your seed is valuable. You know, whether it's that guy's seed or that guy's seed, that guy's journey is going to be different. And the problem is we don't understand that we're all going through the same thing. I mean, there's something I live by. There's no temptation has seized you except that which is common to man. Meaning, we're all going through the same thing. We're just not talking about it.
Mm-hmm. And this is we got to communicate.
Yeah.
I would say, everything that you think you know, be open to relearn. Because I think sometimes I say you look at your father and you're like, I'm gonna do that, but maybe that's not who you are.
Yep.
You know, whether it was good or bad, you got a best father, but that's not you. Like you said, we all are doing this by ourselves. So just be able to learn on the job. You know what I'm saying? Be open to experience new things. Just don't think you know
everything.
Anything. Don't, because every child is different. You know, every year of their life, they're different people, and it's not your job to mold them into who you think they should be.
Absolutely.
That is definitely what I'm learning.
And that is a great point, especially coming from you. You know why? Because my boys, right? They came from me. So
you want to be you.
So they're actually different, and they got the same father, right? Mm-hmm. But your perspective, you can understand that because you got one biological, you got two nieces. You know what I'm saying? And not only that, your little sister, you're a father too. So you got to understand how to communicate with each one of them. Completely
one
different.
of them is baby no.
Right.
Like, hey, I know you did that, but this is what maybe you should do next time. You know?
And they girls.
Yeah.
You don't have no boys. Oh my goodness. So
yeah, man. That's what I would say.
You deserve an award.
That's what I would say. Don't try to make them what you want.
God has all you can do is water the seed.
Yeah, that's it.
You know what I'm saying? God give the increase. God gonna make it grow, but you gotta water it. You know what I mean? You gotta water it by understanding who they are, and day by day, because the journey gonna be different, day by day. And once you water it, God gonna make it grow. You gonna see how it's growing, and you say, okay, we going in that direction, and we might do that for a year. You know, you keep watering. Say, God done moved us this way. We going in that direction. Yes, so it's good stuff, man. It's good stuff. But thanks for coming out, brother.
No problem. I want to be on the next one.
You got a slot, man. You got a slot.